Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest has been making you laugh since he was 15 years of age. Two-time Emmy Award-nominated actor, producer, comedian, youth pastor, and author who was a staple on Nickelodeon during the 90s for shows like All That and Kenan and Kel. But there's more. He recently celebrated the release of his 90-day devotional book, Blessed Mode, and an illustrated novel for kids called Prank Day. It is my honor to welcome the multi-talented Kel Mitchell to the Renaissance Man podcast. What up, though?
Yo, thanks for having me, man. Thank you so much, man. That's what's up.
Appreciate the love. We got Lake Michigan and 94 in common. You grew up on the Southside of Chicago.
Yeah.
Tell me about your childhood and your upbringing.
Man, first of all, man, shout out to you, legendary.
You,
yeah, and you know, you rep for the shot for a few.
No doubt, no doubt.
But yeah, man, grew up on the south side of Chicago. My mom she retired now, but she was a teacher. Mm-hmm. And my dad, psychologist. They're both retired now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, they just really always made sure that I was into positive activities and hobbies, while growing up in the shop, because they didn't want me to follow the wrong crowd. And, shout out to my parents for doing that. They tried everything when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I did some of every activity you could possibly think of. But acting is the one that stuck with me. And shout out to ETA Creative Arts Foundation, because it was one summer when my parents was like, we don't know what to do with this boy. He a class clown. He keep getting in trouble. We don't know what to do. And they sent me to the theater in our community where we used to watch plays. And they had a summer program. And when I stepped into that theater, that's when I was like, yo, this is it. You know what I mean? This is what I want to be doing. And it wasn't a thing of just like getting on TV or anything like that. It was just a positive thing to do. That's why I always support the arts in the community. Always. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as you were getting into those hobbies and while they were getting you into theater, I know where you from. And I know the landmines you had to navigate on the day-to-day to avoid the traps of the street life and all of the things that surrounded your childhood. So talk to me about navigating that part of your life and some of the things you were exposed to at a young age.
Man, so definitely, like, I had to, like, if you talking about like what my theater was, I had to go through, like, I want to say 3 different gang territories to get to get there. You know what I mean? And even with going in school, it was the same thing as well. But I love my city because I always say too, like, there's 2 sides. You know what I mean? There's, in every city, there's a crease. There's the wrong side and there's the good side. For the youth. And the thing about it is that we need to support the good side, the things that are going on within our community. But yes, the thing about it is that I saw a lot coming up. You know what I mean? I lost some friends along the way, within this journey. So yeah, definitely at that time, it would make you kind of look around. You know what I'm saying? You had that,
no doubt.
That anxiety, already, because you were dealing with death from, seeing your friends, leave this earth earlier than they're supposed to. You know what I mean? So that went on a lot. So before I was even on Nickelodeon, I had already been dealing with that before I even got on Nickelodeon. You know what I mean? So that was definitely a deep mindset. But I will tell you what helped was my faith in God and staying in the church, because my parents, we definitely stayed in church. And around that time, in the 90s and how that was, what was going on with the violence and things of that nature, our church was definitely instrumental in helping us have that faith. And I was just talking to a few of my friends in Chicago about that recently, because we all still stay in contact, you know, all the homies from church. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, because praying each other through. Like, we had a community of mothers at the church, and all the men at the church that were praying for us and praying us through and keeping us safe as we went into different territories. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite MLK quotes is, faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase. And I come from a family of faith, and going to church, especially when I was young, every Sunday with my grandmother. But there were also a lot of funny stories of being at church when you were growing up. So tell me some funny stories about being at church when you was growing up.
Yo, so the name of my church was called Upright Missionary Baptist Church. All right. So definitely an amazing church, fun church. But we knew, like, when church was about to end, because, you know, Pastor Coleman would start hooping at the end, and we know we late. You know what I mean? Because he started doing that. We do like, oh dang, we late to church. And we had one member that she used to always go hallelujah and like walk back all the way to the church and back to church. It's just like so many great memories that we remember from the church and growing up in the church. I sung in the choir. I was in Boy Scouts at the church too as well, because we had a Boy Scout troop and all that stuff like that was going on. And that was funny too, because I remember my dad was very like, he was one of the scout leaders, and he was like, yo, we gotta keep these kids on the up and up. You know what I mean? So he had us doing that. Yeah. And a funny thing, my youth pastor at my church, right, was also my sensei. Right. Wow. So as all this stuff was going on, he was like, we need to teach you kids how to fight, but we want to also teach y'all discipline as well. So he taught us discipline. Shout out to Pastor Holbrook. He's Bishop Holbrook right now. But he taught us Kung Fu. But the thing about it is, it wasn't no belts, none of that. He just went straight to it. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, he went straight to it. We was in the back learning all kind of stuff that we like straight ninja mode. We shouldn't even been learning certain things at that point. But it was keeping us safe, man, which was super, super awesome. And he had us learn Psalms 23 while we was learning katas and all those different things, which was good because it was keeping us safe, as we were talking and saying, like, the Lord is keeping us safe, he's with us the entire time. And so learning all these like Bible verses at a young age, also while learning Kung Fu and learning the word of God, definitely gave me a discipline at a very young age. And I even used it on Keenan and Kel. I remember it was a scene where I was spending the night over Keenan's house, and a lamp was above us. Like, they had the prop guys put a lamp on the top of the dresser, and I was sleeping on the bottom. And I kid you not, shout out to my sensei, right? Because it was shaking, but my eyes was closed. Keenan saw it shaking, and the lamp fell down, and I went like this, kid you not. And it missed me. I was just like, yo, that was that faith in Kung Fu right there. That's what's up.
Full service church, but also learning. There's a discipline. There's a sacrifice as a young person that I'm gonna open up my mind and open up my heart to all of these different exercises of learning the word of God and trusting in my sensei. And so also being into theater. So talk to me about when you first got into theater and some of the things you recall doing as it related to exercises in theater.
Bro, like, I learned a lot of lessons coming up, you know what I mean? And one, shout out to Renako Jahi, my drama teacher. I remember when after summer, I started being in a lot of plays at the theater. And it became a job for me. So now my mom and my dad was like, yo, you want to do this after school, you need to act right in school. So I was acting right in school so I could, have my job right at the theater. And I remember one of the plays, I was acting up doing rehearsal. I was running around. I wasn't listening to the director. And Renako said, okay, you keep messing around on opening night, we're going to have your understudy open the show. And I'm like, yo. And I'm thinking like, nah, he ain't gonna do that. I got grandma coming. I got everybody coming through. We all good. still was acting up, right? And so I did that, and for sure, understudy opened up. I'm on the playbill, all of that, and grandma and everybody. I wasn't able, you know what I mean, to perform an opening night, and I was upset at the time, but now it helped me. It helped me so much. You know what I mean? Because it showed me take this seriously. You know what I mean? Take it seriously. And it was a beautiful lesson, man. And I took that on even to now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That happened to me before in middle school. I was acting up at school. I used to be the student that wanted to hurry up and finish my work and then act silly the rest of the time. And I got in trouble in school. My mother took me off the basketball team. And it was just like you just said, it was a big Christmas tournament coming up. I had been doing good. Everybody was coming to watch me play from the block. Grandma, everybody was coming to watch me play. And I literally had to sit on the bench with my street clothes on. I was so salty. I was so embarrassed. But you're right. That definitely breeds character.
Yeah.
Can you recall some of the plays that you actually performed in around that time?
Oh yeah, come on, man. Like one of the first ones was Kasimu in the coconut pond, right? So, you know, shout out to creators, you know, that just made amazing plays. So Renako actually wrote that one, and it was like The Wiz meets You Got Served. It's like it was just like it was dancing, it was fantasy. And what was so beautiful about it was that I was the narrator of this world that was happening in this world in Kasimu and the Coconut Palm. And I was this reptile that would tell the story, but he was really like into us embracing the stuff that we were around. And so I was very into like hip hop and dance around that time. So he said, you can pop the entire time, because what does a snake do? It kind of move like this. So he was like, you could pop. So I would come out and tell the story like, Kasimu is about to go through the forest, and it was like the most awesome thing, man. And I loved it. And I do remember one of my plays. I remember some of my homies. I had homies that supported me, but I had some homies that thought it was whack, right?
Yep.
And I remember I wanted to like, you know, impress them. So they came and saw me in a play, and they was laughing. It was the worst, like the worst thing. Like, you're like, oh no. And they're laughing. And they were like, yeah, I mean, you keep going to that theater, you need to be hanging with us on the block. And what was crazy about that is that I was hurt at the time, but then I do remember me like looking at myself in the mirror. I totally remember this. And I was like, yo, you want to do this though. This is something that's really positive for you. And if I would have listened to them just based on like peer pressure, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I tell, you know, all kids that like, look, if you know that this is something that God is giving you and it's positive and you're in your spirit, when you go to sleep, when you wake up, you think about doing this and it's a positive change, go for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And also you just touched on something that is a hot button topic, not only in sports, but for our community and Black men. And that's Ja Morant right now. And as a young 23-year-old man trying to figure out how to be a public figure, how to be an NBA superstar, and just navigating the fine line that you and I have had to walk between the streets of Detroit and the Southside of Chicago and what you just described, your goals and dreams. And sometimes even the people closest to you may not believe or are invested in your dreams and future the way you wish they should until it becomes a reality. So talk about, and you mentioned how your influence for young people and how you would advise them. What would you say to a young person like a Ja Morant who seems like he's still trying to figure it out as he's navigating for public consumption?
Man, here's the thing, and this is what, you know, I tell a lot of the youth. It's just like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it, right? And so you got to really look at your circle. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people be like, hey, well, yo, you know, I know you for years. I know you for years, but what are the choices that are being made? You know what I mean? What are the choices? I'm not saying you can't love your homie and pray for your homie, but it's like, what are the choices that are being made? And what are the decisions that are being made? And how do they respond to certain things? You know what I mean? And you don't want to pull yourself in the wrong direction, you know, just because people have history with you doesn't mean that they need to go to your destiny, to where you're going. You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
a real thing that you got to really look at. And that's why having faith is good, having discernment is good, having people around you that will let you know the truth. Because, there was times when, I was hard-headed, you know what I mean? Where
No
I was,
doubt.
but you have to really listen to the people and watch their actions of the positive people that are trying to like help you. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that we can't react in a way with corrective criticism. A lot of people got like a problem with corrective criticism. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's a thing, when someone's trying to tell you, hey, if you do this and you do this and change some things, change some habits, you move in a positive way. And then they get, like, what you telling me, man? I got it all together. Correct. Always be willing to learn and always be willing to hear from people that are older than you, that have had some experience, that are being positive. It's not a thing of like they trying to like take away your cool or anything like that. It's a thing of they're trying to lead you in the right path. So do that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, like, there's a macho thing that we need to carry also. It's one, we got to be able to hold our spot, because it ain't guaranteed and somebody will take it from you. And then it's the balance of, I'm still down, I'm still real, I'm still rough, I can still move the way the other people who don't have what I have to lose move. And navigating that can be tough for us. And so there had to be some times in your career where you were like, man, this ain't the best day I'm having at my job, or I didn't get the role that I hoped that I was going to get. Can you talk to me about one of the things that you really wanted to happen that didn't happen and how you managed it?
Man, plenty. We would be sitting here for a minute, but one lesson that I did get, because I'm very competitive. And the thing about it is that when you mix being competitive, and then you also mix where I didn't take like what I'm talking about, criticism, very well, you know what I mean? Corrective criticism. And so I didn't like rejection. So if you take someone that's very competitive and don't like rejection, it became wild for me, right? So sometimes it helped because, I always wanted to be the funniest character on the show, right? You know what I mean? And it would work in that way. But then if it was like, I didn't get something, it was just like, wait, hold up. You know what I mean? Hold up, you're supposed to get that to me. You know what I mean? I need that. That's me all day. And then I'm upset at that person that got it. Or I'm upset now the entire day. And you take that anger, you know what I mean, into your next situation. People see how you reacted to it. And it was when I decided to go, okay, what is for me is for me. You know what I mean? And in the word, it says be slow to anger. And what that really is saying is that don't let yourself get so angry or so puffed up that it's all about you in the first place. You know what I mean? Because it really isn't. You know what I mean? It's a team effort. And in entertainment, the thing about it is that I started putting myself behind the scenes of a lot of like productions. So then in that way I can understand how it's really a team effort. So I became the director, I started writing and understanding writing and all this stuff to really understand like this is a team effort. And when you get puffed up or you get upset about situations, you can hurt somebody else's job and hurt your destiny as well. So the thing about it is that you got to look at it like, okay, what's for me is for me. And also too, these people have been working on this project before the audition, right? So even before the audition, they know what they want to see. So they know the look they want. They know what type of style they want. And if you are not that, it's okay. You go get what God has for you, but don't get upset about it. I heard an actor say one time, he said that when you go for an audition, you're still clocking in. So it takes away the anxiety and the stress of, I got to get this because I got to get this for my family. I've been there. Like, I got to get this job. I got to pay these bills. I'm living from check to check. I got to get this. But then when I started to go, oh, I'm still clocking in, I'm gonna just go like I already have the job. So this is just me going in and working for it already. And when you go in with that mindset, it's kind of like you don't worry about it anymore. You leave it there. You do your best job and you leave it there. Because when you come in with that, they see it, they feel it.
Absolutely. And for you, like you kicked off your acting career at 15. Bruh. As I mentioned, on All That with Kenan Thompson. So take me back to that period of your life. And when did you realize that you were part of something special?
Woo, man. Well, at first we were on All That, and All That was a special because Nickelodeon had never done anything like this that was so diverse with so many kids from every walk of life, different races. And they put it out there just to see. And we flew out there, after we got the job, and we flew from everywhere and shot it. And we just thinking like, oh, this is a one-time thing. You know what I mean? So it airs though, and it takes off. I mean, like it blows up. They say, hey, come back to Florida. We're going to start shooting the show. And I mean, it started revving up. So you talking about, because I rap too. So hip hop saved my life too in Chicago. God, and then hip hop as well, because when it was like stuff going on, I was into like breakdancing, graffiti, all that stuff like that. So I was really into hip hop strong. So I used to rap first. And so like to see all these artists that I admired to now the first season of All That, I mean, we had everybody on there. You know what I mean? And like all the different like Bad Boy records, that Def Jam, everybody you could possibly think of was guest starring on All That. So for me, that was big to like have TLC do the theme song and Coolio do the theme song and Kenan and Kel, and these people that, just a year ago, I was just listening to, on the CTA bus, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm chilling and I'm hanging with them and they giving me advice and we hanging out. It definitely was like, yo, this is amazing right now. But then what was dope was that I remember my parents was like, when I came back home, it's like, take out the garbage. Boy, they come in here like it's all good. Like you just and that's why I love my family, man, because they kept me like, hey, man, hey. You know what I mean? Doubt. Yeah.
And by the way, because you're supremely talented, that means you got a 8-bar freestyle ready at any point in time, because that's just got to be in your bag. So if you don't mind, since you brought up rhyming, I've had Papoose, the freestyle lyrical king, kick something on the show recently. If you don't mind, you mind spitting a couple of bars?
Man, all right. Moving like Sonic, my faith is bionic. My heart is in rhythm with God. Negativism don't get my attention. I'm keeping it all the way calm. Iconic like Kenan and Kel. Iconic as heaven and Kel. A biblical smells. Yeah, hold on.
Okay. So we gonna get an album? Hey, you think about giving us a single? Can we get an album? Some guest spots? Like what's next on the rapping tip?
Oh yeah, man. So I put out a single, man. So I have my book, Bless Mode, right? That is a devotional, a 90-day devotional to level up your faith. And within the book, it's about your spiritual self and also your physical self. And I had not seen any devotionals that have a call to action to exercise, like afterwards. And so my thing was that, okay, start you off with a Bible verse, tell you a short story about my life that connects with that Bible verse. And then I have you pray. And then after that, I might have you do some burpees, or I might have you do something, that you're working out, right? No. And so within that, what I wanted to do was I said, hey, yo, I love working out to CHH music, which is Christian hip hop. And I love working out to it all the time. And I work with a lot of different artists, directing music videos and CHH. And so I said, let me put a song with it. And I put a song with Bless Mode, and it took off, man. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes. Everybody been playing it. It's in heavy rotation in CHH. So I'm super excited about that. So everybody's like, yo, we need a new single. So I definitely got another one coming. So I'm super excited about that, man.
So I'm inspired.
Yeah.
I'm going to step my game up. I've been talking about it. I've been making certain changes about my diet and certain habits. So I'm going to get into the 90-day devotional.
Yeah.
And as you bring up Christian hip hop, if you don't mind, can you give me your favorite 5 artists in Christian hip hop?
Okay, for sure. KB. KB is amazing. That's the homie right there. No Big Deal. No Big Deal is off the chain, man. Scooty Wop. John Keith. I gotta go. Shout out to John Keith. Who else? International Show. He does a lot of like dope music as well. George Rose. I know I'm going over. Miles Minnick. Shout out to Miles Minnick. We just did an awesome event with Dr. Bill Winston and David Winston. I'm wearing Miles' shirt right now. God put me on.
Indeed, representing.
Yeah.
So make sure y'all not only get Blessed Mode on Spotify, but we're gonna be looking forward to that next single. And so recently there was a reboot skit on SNL where you got a chance to reunite with Keenan. What was it like?
Man, awesome. Here's the thing, like we've stayed in contact, you know what I mean? And the thing about it is that when Jimmy called for us to do that, I was oh no, you're talking about the SNL one. I forgot because we didn't have so many surprise reunions. Okay, so the SNL one was with Kiki, and that was awesome. Kiki Palmer was guest starring on the show. She had a fun idea of doing Keenan and Kelly, where she would play Kelly. It's a reboot. And so and SNL was like, oh, this is great. You know, we're going to do it. And they were like, yo, we got to hit up Kel. And then Keenan was like, I text my boy. I just text him. And so he texted me. He was like, yo, Kel, can you fly out like tomorrow? And I was just like, okay, you know, talk to my wife. I was like, okay, yeah, we can make this happen. Let's go. So I was like, I'm in the building. And they transformed the entire set. It looked just like Rigby's store and Keenan and Kel. Kiki is, you know, amazingly talented. Known Kiki for years, amazingly talented. And we surprised her because she didn't know I was going to end up being in it. And so she was like, what? So she was excited. And yeah, man, we had a blast doing that, man. Shout out to SNL. I'm in my office and they sent a bunch of stuff from SNL from that moment, you know, thanking us for doing it. So that was cool.
and following Kiki on social, she just had a baby and was talking about the fact that she has a newfound respect for women, in particular single mothers, because she now sees the effort, the time, and the energy and the sacrifices that they need to make. So big shout out to her. And I want to also thank you for being so very open and transparent about past experiences with addiction and depression, which helped so many of us, in particular in similar situations. Tell me what it took to overcome these obstacles and what you ended up learning through these struggles.
Man, it's really a thing about connecting with your spirit. And when I'm talking about spirit, I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? Just keeping it all the way 100.
No doubt.
And the thing about it is that we all have a light inside of us and we don't need to be covering it up. And the enemy wants you to cover up your light. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that I was trying to handle everything on my own, you know, when things were happening in my life. And it was to a point where that the choices that I was making was not the choices of God. You know what I mean? And it was leading me where I'm looking at the chaos and the trouble in the world and, you know, all the things that I have witnessed with losing friends and toxic relationships, all these different things where it was just kind of pulling me into like, who am I? You know what I mean? Right. And then it was the point where it was like, okay, there's definitely a crease. You know how you crease your jeans? There's definitely a crease in a line between living for the Lord and not living for the Lord. And the thing about it is that I want to stand living for the Lord and I'm an ambassador for Christ. And when it was that, and I said, I want to be transparent. You used the right word, because when we say being transparent, we're literally saying, I want you to see the God in me. So all the things that you see me get through and the things that you see me overcome and the obstacles and emotional walls that I've gotten through is because of God. And the thing about it is that I'm going to let everybody know, because I would be giving people a disservice. Like now I'm the big homie You know what I mean?
No
And
doubt.
for all my homies and the youngsters that are coming up that watch me on all that Game Shakers, they watching Good Burger on Netflix and they watching Nickelodeon and all those things like that. When they look me up, they go, man, he loves God. You know what I mean? Because the thing about it is that setting people free. That's the main thing. And that could be whatever they're dealing with, because everybody's dealing with something. You want to make sure that they're set free from that so they can go after their real destiny. And that's what's important for me, is that people really understand how much God loves them. Because I've gone to some of these youth groups and speaking at juvie homes and things of that nature. And a lot of kids, man, it's like they ain't even been hugged before.
Correct.
Or told that they're loved. You know what I mean? Matter, and that's the thing about it, is that as we go through it, we don't need to be here. We need to like go, hey, it's love, respond in love. I'm praying for you. You got this. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you how I got through it. And that's the thing about it, man. We got to show love because it's everybody. We all part of the same family, you know?
Absolutely. And that needed to be said. And I honor your humility, because when we get to this position, so many people look up to us, want to be us. And every place you go, if you ask young people from the Southside of Chicago, what do you want to be? They're going to say an entertainer, a rapper, an athlete, because they've seen us be successful and make a lot of money in those fields. And so it's very important, as you mentioned, to let them know. I always give the advice, be kind to people. Man. Like walking around with your fist balled up and your face all frowning up, all you're doing is blocking your blessings. When you're nice to people, say please, say thank you, say excuse me. Like, try to own the things that don't cost you anything. Your body language, your attitude, being on time. Like, these things don't cost nothing, but can go a long way to putting you in position to chase your goals. And I know you got so much going on, and rightfully so. But in 1997, you gave us a classic, brother. Good Burger. So when can we get a part two? What's going on?
Well, you already seen the announcement, you know what I mean, on Jimmy Fallon. So it's going down, Good Burger 2. We're starting production. I'm super excited about it, man. And that's just the thing too, man. God's grace and God's blessing. Like, so many years ago, you're talking about 97. You know what I mean? There's little kids that weren't even born, that, you know, are having Good Burger birthdays and all these different things like that. And I just think it's so awesome that it's a special place in people's hearts. And you all are going to be super excited. We took a long time to work on the script because we didn't want, you know, to disappoint. And it's going to be a great, great movie. The script is amazing. The fans are going to love it. Like, the fans that have watched the original movie, and then they could watch it with their kids too. Like, we're going to bring that back, where the whole family coming around the TV to watch this film. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
And obviously, not to do any spoilers, but can you at least share some of the other people that's going to be in Good Burger 2?
Oh, man. Well, I'll say this. In the original one, remember, we had a lot of cameos. So it was a lot of great cameos. It was cameo crazy. So I will say this: the cameos are on steroids in this one as well. And a lot of the people that you loved in the first one are gonna come back. So we are excited about that. And you know, we gotta holler at Shaq real quick, because you know Shaq had a great cameo up in there. So
he did. Classic. And again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. But before I let you get out of here, I got a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
Let's do it, man.
So you back on the South Side. What is the first place you hitting up to eat, and what are you ordering?
Woo! Okay, so check it out. It used to be Tourist Flavors on Stony Island. That was my spot. Hoagies, but some kids, they ran into the spot, into Tourist Flavors, and that was not there anymore. But I love Chicago style hoagies. That is the off top, the best. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Still, man, Tourist Flavors, man. Come on, we gotta open it back up, man.
Exactly. We need to make that happen. And we talked about Good Burger, and I'm so happy that part 2's coming out. But I have to ask you, in your opinion, what ingredients make the best burger?
What ingredient makes the best burger?
Yeah.
It's all about the sauce, the good sauce. You know what I'm saying? Because the juiciness of the burger, you got to cook it right. You know what I mean? You got to do that as well. You put your thumb in the middle of that burger to make sure it keeps its shape when you're barbecuing. But at the same time, it's all about the sauce. So you can do it with some vegan sauce, however you like your burgers. But that sauce takes it to the next level. That good sauce.
And when you're a part of so many classic shows and skits in front of the camera and behind the camera, I know this may be a tough one, but I'm gonna drill it down to all that.
Okay.
Can you tell me your 5 favorite sketches you were involved in from all that?
Oh, okay. Coach Cretin, I mean, he's just hilarious, man. He get to yell at kids the whole entire time. He got a Mr. Two. Actually based on one of my coaches in Chicago, which is funny. And then Ed, of course, any sketch, that Ed's been a part of. Repairman, that's another one. I'm just naming my
No
characters.
Doubt. No question. You got so many. That's why I had to ask. That's crazy.
Mavis and Clavis, that's a classic because that's when me and Keenan really discovered that we had something special. When we introduced TLC, we played these two old men and we were going back and forth, and I would say a line, he would finish the line, vice versa. And that's just a special place in our heart because that's when we saw it and everybody else saw it, and they started putting us in other sketches together. And they took that moment and put it at the end of all that. So we got to be reminded of it all the time. So at the end when it goes, oh yeah, kick it, that's from that particular sketch. And that will always be one of my favorite ones, man. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Who is another actor or comedian whose humor you admire?
Bro, Martin Lawrence. You know what I mean? I gotta say Martin Lawrence. When I was a kid, man, watching Martin and the physical comedy and the different characters that he would just bring. You know what I mean? And then the entire cast of In Living Color. You know what I mean? Classic. Like that's just like how they just went for it, and then to be able to now meet all these people, it's so awesome. And then also be mentioned within them, as far as them mentioning my physical comedy as well, has just been awesome for me, man. Yeah.
And those are classics. And I'm glad you mentioned those because that leads to my last question. What other show from the 90s do you think deserves a reboot?
Whoa, deserves a reboot? I was just okay, so I'm gonna say 2. Okay. I already mentioned one, which is In Living Color. So they need to do that. They need to reboot that. And then I was just me and my wife were watching Different World, and we were like, yo, Different World needs a reboot. Like for real. They could come back and do that. So yeah, definitely Different World. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. And again, I mentioned it's my honor to welcome you, the multi-talented Kel Mitchell, to the Renaissance Man podcast. I'm coming to support, and I'm going to get on my 90-day devotional because I'm inspired, my brother.
Man, thank you, brother. And thank you for what you do, too, as well, man. Inspiring so many, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate the love.
No doubt.